Hi guys. So initially I was going to do, the usual thing, shower, clean up, get dolled up, and jump on here and create this video, but time escaped me and I had two options. I could jump on here looking a hot mess, or I could just record this another day. So here I am, bushy brows, no makeup, glistening from the sweat. So if my appearance offends you, sorry, not sorry. After all, this is a video about unconditionally loving yourself. So if I can't jump on here looking like I just rolled out of bed, comfortable in my own skin, then I have no right to talk to you about unconditional love. So, for those of you who are new to my channel, my name is Yamari from Namaste and Slay. And I recently reached out to my Instagram followers and asked about what their biggest self love challenges were so that I can know what to focus on for 2019. Before I dive in, thank you very much for those of you that did answer. Your support and your feedback just means the world to me. It really was instrumental in selecting today's topic. So I truly appreciate your support. If you haven't already started following me on Instagram, please do so. Go check it out. I share a lot of quick tips and daily inspiration there. So let's dive in. One topic that actually came up a lot was improving mental health and well-being. And with a ton of research out there linking low self-esteem and mental health issues to mental health issues, I decided that it would make a lot of sense to create a video on how to love yourself and accept yourself unconditionally. So before I dive into this topic, actually, if you haven't checked out my video on what is unconditional love, I highly recommend you do so. You can actually find it by clicking on the link in the description box below. The reason I recommend watching this video first is because when you're unclear on what unconditional love is, it's going to be really difficult um, for you to apply the advice that I'm about to share. So again, go ahead, check it out before you watch the rest of this video. And I'll make sure that I link to this video and that video as well. So what I'm about to share with you is actually pretty simple, and you can actually start putting this advice into action today. But the drawback is that, it's not a magic bullet. It's going to require a lot of consistent self-reflection, a willingness to release old habits that are contributing to your overall feeling of being unlovable. And the first thing you absolutely need to do in order to start loving yourself unconditionally is changing your perspective. Simple, right? But not so easy to implement. And here's why and what you can do about it. So you become more open to new perspectives by doing exactly what you're doing right now, exposing yourself to new information, people, places, and things that awaken you to new realities, a different way of being. And if you're willing to experience situations or retain information that challenges your beliefs, makes you question what you're doing and how you're approaching life, then that in itself helps push you, shift you out of an old paradigm into a new one. In other words, no one can give you a new perspective. Not me, no one. Unless you're open to what I'm about to say, nothing will change for you. It's your choice. So if you can start by accepting the simple fact that any and all beliefs that you have about yourself are based on a perceived fact, your opinion, and not what is actual fact, then that itself will help you shift your perspective. By simply acknowledging that when it comes to likes and dislikes, it's always a matter of opinion, you, in an essence, give yourself permission to love yourself more unconditionally. It's about choosing to look at whatever parts of you feel are unlovable through a different lens, one that better serves you. So, for example, at one point in my life, I literally thought I was hideous. I was underweight for most of my childhood. I was picked on a lot. People said a lot of mean things to me growing up, not only about my appearance and my body, but just about who I was. So there were a lot of deep ingrained false beliefs in me that led me to believe that I needed to look a certain way and be a certain way in order to get the love that I deserved. My perception of self was so distorted that I'm seriously amazed when I look back at pictures or I look in the mirror and I think about what I thought I looked like and what I see now. I mean, there is no way I would have jumped on camera without makeup, a few years ago. And it's not because my appearance has changed drastically. It's because my perspective on what true beauty really is has changed. Part of how I was able to overcome this was by choosing to look at all the parts of me that I considered unlovable as serving part of my higher purpose in this life. I choose to believe that there is no part of me that is unlovable because even the parts of me that I sometimes find difficult to love serve a higher purpose for me. And because I choose to believe this, I'm able to love myself unconditionally. So, all the things that I got picked on for and hated about myself growing up, I now have a deep level of appreciation for because I recognize that it was there to serve a purpose. It helped me become someone who was less superficial, less vain, the kind of person who looks for the best in others because I acknowledge that I'm not perfect and don't expect that of anyone else. There is no part of you, whether that be physical, a characteristic, a condition, that is unlovable. Because even those parts of you that you may deem unlovable help mold you and make you into the person you are. I don't care how much you fucked up. I don't care what you look like. I don't care what you've done in your life. If you can start looking at all of these things as serving part of your purpose, as serving part of your evolution on this earth, then none of it is in vain. And the reality is that most of us don't truly unconditionally love ourselves because we grew up learning that there were strings attached to the kind of love that we received. We live in a society where if that teaches us that if someone's expectations are met, it isn't likely that they're going to love us in the way that we want to be loved. So we are programmed as a society to expect something in return for the love that we give, and over time, this also translates into how we express love for ourselves. Without shifting your perspective, it is very difficult to change the belief that you are unconditionally lovable. If adopting the belief that I just shared with you today doesn't resonate with you, attempt to change your perspective by identifying the qualities and attributes about yourself that you do not like and replacing them by reshaping your existing beliefs with neutral statements. So here's what I mean by that. A lot of people, when they're trying to change a belief about themselves, they try to use positive affirmations. Positive affirmations are great. I do not advocate against them. I am a positive affirmation junkie. I totally get it. I'm all for it. However, the problem is that most people that are trying to shift from a place of I feel unlovable to experience unconditional love try to make quantum leaps when they need to make baby steps. And here's what I mean. If you feel like you're hideous, which is how I once felt, right? If you feel like you're hideous, telling yourself over and over again that you're gorgeous, that you're beautiful, that you're the next best thing since sliced bread, isn't going to do anything for you. As a matter of fact, there's actually studies out there that show that positive affirmations, if your brain does not truly believe them, can actually hurt you. They can make you feel more depressed. If they can make you feel worse about yourself. So that's not the best approach to shifting into a place of feeling unworthy of love to unconditional love. The best way to do this is to start where you are. Adopt a belief or a statement that you are going to reinforce on a daily basis through your actions and through your words that feels neutral to your brain so that your brain doesn't call bullshit on the belief that you're trying to implement. So here's what I mean by that. If I feel hideous is where I'm at, the best way to shift past that is to adopt a belief like, I may not be perfect, but I deserve to be loved. Reminding yourself of that every single day, every single time a contradictory belief or something happens in your life that makes you feel otherwise, reminding yourself of that, telling yourself that every single day, you know what? I am not perfect, but I deserve to be loved. Will eventually get you to that place of, you know what? I'm the fucking shit. And I know it sounds unbelievable, but it's actually how I started. So, like I said, at one point, I really did not see anything beautiful about myself. I did not, when people told me that, it actually made me feel worse. I didn't understand what other people saw. Um, and so that's how I started. I actually can't remember the actual positive affirmation that I started with, but it was something along those lines. It was something along the lines of, I I'm not perfect, but I deserve to be loved. I'm not perfect, but I am lovable. And once, the continuous repetition, like anything else, right? It requires repetition. So the continuous repetition and reinforcement of that belief eventually led to me literally seeing myself differently than I had seen in the past, looking in the mirror and things that I never thought were beautiful about myself, saying, wow, you know what? You have a pretty smile. Wow, you have really kind eyes. Wow, you have great hair. Like, now I'm going to just sound really vain and conceited, but you guys know what I mean is eventually, because I changed my perception and because I started working on changing my beliefs about myself through constant reinforcement, I literally started feeling differently about myself, seeing myself differently, and was started to shift into this place of unconditional love that I'm at right now at this point in my life. Again, in the past, you couldn't have paid me to get on a camera without makeup, with my hair unwashed, looking the way I look now in the past. You wouldn't have been able to do it. And by the way, this doesn't just apply to the physical, right? I know that a lot of people who suffer from self-esteem issues, that is the root of it, is feeling like they physically just they're not up to par. So that's why I focus on that example. But you can use this for anything that's making you feel less worthy about yourself. So I hope that this has helped you today. If it didn't, please let me know what other information you would like to help you start shifting into a place of unconditional love. I also, as a follow up to this, am going to do a self love tarot spread that is going to focus on the overall energy of those watching the video, in terms of unconditional love and what they can do to shift out of that energy. And I'm also going to create a video for you guys on how to properly create affirmations so they work a lot faster for you. So if you're interested in all those things, again, I'll have a list of links in the description box below for you. Until next time, namaste.